Hey little hoes, my name is Kristen and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my top 5 Louboutin plants. And what I mean by that is just that they have a red backside. All the plants going to be featured today will have a red shade on the underside of the leaves. I got inspired to do this video by this begonia, and you guys will know it made my top 3 favorite plants of 2020. I was looking at this the other day in my terrarium, and it's situated right above where I sit on the couch, do my editing, and I was just looking at how cool this mottled red backside was and thought I should feature other plants with red booties. I have compiled 5 plants, not including this one today, that have it. Now, these are pretty much all the plants that I currently own with red undersides. I think I have, over the years, had other ones, namely peperomias with that sort of reddish underside. I killed those guys relatively fast. And if you're wondering about this begonia, I plucked it not only to show you guys, but also because I really wanted to put it in my propagation box and get another baby off of it. First plant I'm going to be showing you is this massive Calathea. Is it latifolia? The rattlesnake Calathea. I have had this one probably 4-ish years now, and it has been quite happy in this tiny pot. So that's why I'm not going to move it anytime soon. I repotted a Calathea once and it was a dreadful mistake. It was very happy being root bound, so I'm not going to mess up a good thing. But this guy, you guys might know, is, like most Calathea, one that sort of closes up at night. The leaves all start to fold inwards to the center of the plant, and you can definitely see how reddish purple these leaves are on the underside, and has some cool mottling on the front. Now this is by far the easiest Calathea I have ever grown and probably will ever grow. This is actually a Calathea I would replace if, God forbid, it decided to die, which don't listen, don't do it, don't even think about it. I love this plant. It is one of the easiest things to grow, and I would highly recommend this above all other Calathea. My second one is one that I got this past year, the Syngonium erythrophyllum, and some call it Lanocarty Road, I believe. I got this at the plant farm. It was kind of pricey. I think it was like $35 for this little guy, but I'm very happy I got it. As you know, I have a thing for Syngoniums recently. It's got that really cool reddish underside, and the leaves come out kind of bronzy looking. You can't quite tell, but it definitely has that bronze cast to the new growth, and then it just turns a really nice deep green. Very easy. This guy has just been hanging out in my sunroom, so very bright conditions, low humidity, and just fine. I'm sure it might grow a little bit faster if I had it in more humidity, but I like the fact that it can tolerate this sort of situation, so don't really want to go putting it in some place more humid, get it acclimated to that, and then move it back. So in my sunroom, it shall stay right by my chair where I can enjoy it. Next is kind of a funky looking specimen. This is Philodendron Subhastatum that I got from Equigenera this past summer, I want to say. And you can see the cool red patterning on this dude. I am rather debating if I shouldn't propagate it at some point. It's getting so tall. I actually had to move it from the makeshift greenhouse I have because these poor leaves were, unbeknownst to me for quite a while, sort of growing through the rack, and so got pretty distorted. They were also pressed up against the backside of my grow light, which caused some burning. So yeah, this guy pretty easy. I will say that it did grow better in my greenhouse than just out in the living room where it's a little less humid, but overall not very picky. Next is a big guy. Very heavy too. This is my Dioscoria discolor, or ornamental yam. You can kind of see this is rather awkward to try and get an up close of. You can kind of see. Let me flip it around for you. Look at how purpley red those are. It's such an intense color, and I'm not sure it quite shows up on camera. This is a pretty easy plant. It did get some really bad scale issues this spring, and I did sort of an emergency cutback on all the vegetative growth and repotted it, treated the soil so that the tubers on these guys could sort of soak up the systemic I used to try and make sure that it didn't get any scale when the leaves reemerged. It took quite a long time for them to start growing again. I think it was maybe like a month and a half ago that I noticed some growth on those tubers, and this is all the vining it's done since then. It's a very fast grower once it starts to come out of its dormancy. I'm not sure if this is going to be a yearly thing going into a dormant or semi-dormant state. Since I cut those leaves back, I couldn't really, get an idea of the natural cycle of this plant. But in any regards, I kind of know how to take care of it better now, so I'm excited to see how it progresses. It probably would like it a little bit more on the humid side, such as the bathroom where I had it before, but unfortunately, because of this large trellising situation, it has to reside in the living room. The tubers, I don't believe, are big enough to put them in directly into this large pot, so it's still in a small pot, sitting on top of a container in this big pot. And I try and give it as much humidity as I possibly can, since the leaves do come out slightly distorted from the lack of it, I believe. One thing that I've been doing to sort of help create more of a humid environment for it is I have a drip tray underneath this pot, and I water the pot itself, so fill that drip tray with water. The terracotta wicks it up and slowly evaporates, so I'm guessing that creates some good humidity because it's put off this really nice new growth just in the last week or so. Such a cool plant. I highly recommend getting one of these if you are able to find it for a reasonable price. And one of the plants I am super proud of, my Philodendron varicosum. This has such cool red patterning to the back of the leaves, not to mention like the furry petioles. I got this again from Equigenera this past 2020, and it has been an incredibly easy philodendron. Very happy with it. The red does fade slightly on this guy. I would love to find an El Choco red, which has even more intense red coloration. It emerges a brightish red color, and I believe still retains that amazing coloration to the back. Probably do need to repot it. It's drying out rather fast in here. And I probably do need a better staking situation for it. It just, space is pretty limited where I have it in the bathroom, so I don't know if I can really get away with a super chunky moss pole or not, so it might just have to keep going with the bamboo stakes. So I was curious about the scientific reason why plants have red, purple coloration just on the undersides of the leaves. I did come across a couple of explanations on this, and it does make sense to me. As we know, different colors either absorb or reflect light differently. And the theory behind the red backsides of the leaves is that the plants are trying to optimize the light as best they can. Sometimes they reside in more of a low light situation and have to get clever with it. So what they'll do is the green will absorb the light, and then it will eventually go through the leaf, hit the red, and that will bounce back and allow the little chloroplast cells to absorb as much light as they can. This is an interesting sort of evolutionary thing that plants do to try and absorb as much light as they possibly can. Maybe they're sort of an understory plant or deep in the jungle where sometimes it's difficult to get light. So that was just a quick little video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear what Louboutin plants you have, what cool reddish purple underside plants are in your collection. As always, stay safe, healthy, and sane. I will talk to y'all soon. Goodbye.